So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I wanted to talk to you guys about my experience where for the first time I've actually smoked weed and got high at a frat party when I was back in university. And this isn't something that I've shared before or something that I talk about because this isn't really the message that I want to bring on this channel. But I think for depth and transparency, I think I should share this. And so this wasn't new to me. I've experimented with that stuff every now and then with friends. It was just something to try. And I wasn't someone that was really about that because at the time, just like today, I was really about my self-development. I wanted to, get those good grades in school. I was working a job and I was going to the gym all the time. And so this wasn't that new to me, but doing it at a party, well, let's just say the night did not go at all how I expected it to go. So let's just jump right into it. Well, first off, this was around the time where, if you're somebody who's in Canada, you would know, where weed was getting legalized. So it was very new to a lot of us, and the biggest question was, where everybody was arguing about, what's worse for you? Is it weed or alcohol? What's worse? What's better? What's less bad? What's healthier? You guys know what I mean. And so I guess you can make your own conclusion once you watch this video till the end. But yeah, let's just start with, this was about 6 years ago, I think. And going back, I remember it was typical, it was a party, it was a typical frat party. And I'm not going to go into the frat life that much in this video. I'll probably save that for another video. But just for some context, we were having a mixer. So those of you who are not familiar with what a mixer is in a frat language, it's basically a party. It's just that we don't call it a party because it sounds bad in front of the university. These organizations exist on campus and they don't really like that, these frats are partying all the time. So they call it something else. It's a mixer. And basically a mixer is when a fraternity, so it's the boys, invite a sorority, the girls, to have a party with them. And so that was that. So pretty much, we were at the frat house where a lot of the guys lived. Pull up like usual, nothing special. And most of the time we would just do the drinking. Everything was fun. How it usually goes. Very typical. If you guys have ever seen typical frat parties, it always went like that. So the only difference this time is that I was like, all right, well, let's try some stuff. Let's experiment a little bit, right? That's what we all do. College and university, this is the time to do fun stuff. And so anyway, it was interesting because we had something we'd call sober brothers. Sober brothers, so basically in a frat, every other guy is a brother. That's what they're called. And sober brothers are those that are responsible to make sure that things don't get out of hand. I don't know if it's like that in America, but at least in our frat, we had this thing and we would rotate who's the sober brother for which party. And so there would be guys who are monitoring the drinks to make sure that they're the ones dispensing them so that people aren't just getting too crazy. We don't want to deal with all the ambulances, none of that stuff. So it's pretty funny because this is the first time I've actually seen jungle juice made. Jungle juice is like this. It's jungle juice. It was basically the highest percentage alcohol you could find. It was like 70% or something. And you get those bottles poured into a large tub, fill it with water. And because we are poor university students, we got juice crystals. It was like, where you can get, those stores where you can get, I don't know, gummy candies, just a bunch of random stuff on display and you can put it in a bag. So we got those juice crystals, whatever flavors, I don't remember. Put it in a tub, mix it all up, and then put it in a large drum or keg where you could basically press the button and get it in a cup. And the interesting thing is, there would be a couple sober brothers handing out the drinks. They'd be watching every time you come up for a drink if you're still good or if you look like you've had too much. So they're going to ease off. So especially for the girls were limited. We didn't want to deal with any of the issues that can arise from girls getting too drunk. So we would basically often limit them to 1 or 2 drinks because it was enough. Like, it was enough. But that's a little bit just as a context, besides the point. So here we are, there's a couple guys that are, that I talk to in the frat, and they're like, hey, we're gonna step out. I got some of the good stuff. I got some weed. All right, you want to come out with us? I don't remember what it was. We hit a bong or a joint. I literally don't remember. But that doesn't really matter. So we stepped out, did that, came back in. Now at this point, the party is going. Everybody's arrived. Everything is in full blast. There's the music. There's people dancing. There's people playing all those beer pong, all those types of games. Everyone's doing their thing. And at this point, once we come back inside, obviously we're like, all right, we're pretty high. And so before I know it, I'm alone. Like, those guys went somewhere, they're back at the party, but I think, all right, so this isn't my first time, but like, this is a little bit strong. This is overwhelming, if anything. And I just kind of stood over to the side where some of the sober brothers were handing out the drinks. I just kind of stood next to them, and they're like, whoa, dude, are you good? Like, whoa, you look like you're really enjoying yourself. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. It's I'm just gonna observe for now. And the thing is, my expectations, every time you're going for one of these events, you're gonna have fun. You're gonna dance with some girls, you're gonna talk to the guys, you're gonna have some beer, you're gonna play some beer pong, whatever. You're gonna do the usual party routine, and that's the exciting part, especially for a young 20-year-old university kid. And so, as I stood there, I realized I'm only getting worse. Like, things are getting way worse. And I'm not just describing a bad trip, because I don't know if that can really happen on just smoking. That's not, I don't know. Because it passes. It's not that crazy. Just a second. I'm drinking some tea. I actually acquired this tea in the mountains of Sri Lanka. 6,000 feet up above sea level. Isn't that crazy? That's a separate story. So, I remember thinking, all right, I can't be the only one that's this high. Like, where are the other guys? They're probably having fun right now. The ones that are the ones that were outside with me, where are they? They must be having fun. They're probably dancing. They're talking to girls. They're doing the usual party routine. And I started to look around for them, and I couldn't see them anywhere. And I thought, am I the only one who just can't handle it? Am I just such a newbie person to all this stuff? Because I'm really good at handling my drinks, but I think that's more genetic. But not the weed stuff. That's never been part of me. So I thought, all right, well, I walked around, looked around, and at this point, since I've walked back into the house from the outside where we smoked, I did not talk to anybody at the party. Anybody. Just maybe a couple words with the sober brothers. That's it. I was literally standing in the corner the entire time. And the crazy part, when I decided, okay, I'm going to go find those guys and see how they're managing, because I can't feel my legs. I'm literally standing there. I don't know how I'm standing. I feel like I need to sit down, but there's nowhere to sit. Where are you going to sit? There's a old, shitty, smelly, disgusting couch that exists in every frat house that people are already sitting on. I'm not going there, and it's right next to the people dancing. There's no way I'm putting myself into that situation. And so I'm just standing. I literally don't know what to do with myself. I'm like, where do I go? I can't feel my legs. I feel like I'm just gonna fall on the floor at any moment. But I don't feel dizzy or anything. I'm just like, how am I standing? My legs are clouds. I just saw the word cloudy on my computer screen, as in the weather, and I just thought of the word cloud. That was a perfect description. My legs felt like I'm floating on a cloud and I cannot feel them. So I'm like, I need to find some help quickly. And I walked around. The house wasn't that big. And then I was like, oh, there's one of the guys that I smoked weed with. He looks pretty chill. One thing I did not realize is that I've never actually observed each person individually. I just kind of observed the whole thing as a whole. I thought everyone's having fun, but once I zoomed in, I focused on one person, the one guy that was with me, one of the guys, I noticed he's also out of his mind. I thought I'm here, that's like this lightweight that can't handle this shit, and the other guys are back in the party having fun. No, this guy, I started looking at him, what is he doing? And I shit you not, he was just pacing back and forth. He wasn't talking to anyone. He was off to the side in a different part of the house and just kind of thinking to himself and walking back and forth. I'm like, this guy's out of his mind. No way. Okay. Then I'm like, all right, okay, weird. And this is when I'm starting to really just understand what's going on and trying to understand, okay, this is kind of weird. And I found the guy who got the weed. I found the guy who is the most tolerant of them all, who smokes weed every day. And I found him sitting on one of those couches. And I came up to him, I was like, how are you feeling, dude? He's like, oh, all good, all good. And I'm telling him, I don't know how you do this, bro, but I don't know how I'm standing right now. I can't feel my legs. And he looks at me like, yeah, I feel you. And I was like, no, you don't get it. I can't feel my legs. Like, where am I gonna go from this? Like, the night is young. I can't just go to sleep. Like, I can't just go to my room. There's no such thing. And so I'm telling this to that guy, and he's like, I feel you, bro. Why do you think I'm sitting? And then I was like, oh, dude, no way. Okay, I see. He's like, because I can't stand. That's why I'm sitting. Okay, I was like, all right. I'm not the only one. All right. But that wasn't the point yet. I was like, okay, at least I'm not alone in this. But this guy's just sitting, chilling on his phone, scrolling. That's all he's doing. And then it started to dawn on me that, hold on, every single person that smoked weed this night is not actively participating in the event. That's what I started getting out of that. I've noticed, I've had other parties before, and this one, it was way different. It did not go how it usually went. It was not, I would say it was not even that fun. Now here's the other part you can look at. Being high in itself, I get it. It can be fun, the music sounds cool, whatever, it's all exciting. But the bad part about this is because parties are about being social. It's socializing. It's a big-ass social event, isn't it? And that's when I realized, hold on. All that weed does is make you antisocial. And maybe there is the odd person who becomes really social, but at the same time, I have friends that are extroverts. And as soon as they get on that stuff, they just zone out from the entire place. I'm like, I've been standing here and I'm in my head the entire time, and I'm just there observing. I've become a spectator. That sucks. Imagine, it's just, you might as well put on a movie like American Pie or something with the frat there, and you're just watching somebody else have fun, because you're not actually there. You're in your own mind. You're zoned out. You can call it tripping. You can call it whatever you want, but that's when it first hit me. It prevents anything good from happening. Anything you actually want to get out of that party, you're just on the side. You're sitting on the bleachers. You're not in the game. You're cucking. You're just watching. You're in your little corner doing nothing. Like, are you guys understanding? This sucked, because I remember standing there and I'm like, this is so bad for my PR. And in university, PR, your reputation is everything. It's like society, but on steroids. Anybody who's been in university knows it's literally society, but like a hyper version of it, because PR is everything. Your status, your reputation, all of that. And now I'm like, I'm burning that because I'm standing off to the side and I'm not usually talking how I usually talk. I'm not talking to anyone. I'm just looking weird. Now I look like that weird creep with a beer in his hand who is afraid to talk to anyone and just kind of standing there and just making other people uncomfortable around them if they are there. It's just weird. It's embarrassing. So that being said, I just realized that. I just completely started to understand and realize, and then I thought, none of the other guys are also in the party. They're just in their own head. They're not actually doing anything. One of the guys that lived at the house, who also went out with us, he went upstairs. I saw him playing video games. Imagine, there's a party going on. There are chicks. You've been waiting for this. There are actual girls that look good that are at the party. And your ass is playing video games upstairs in your room. Not gonna lie, that might be a pretty sick move, pretty cool move. Like, I don't care. I gotta play Minecraft. I don't know. Maybe that's your thing, but it's just such a missed opportunity. There's so much things. You can develop your social skills. You can socialize. You can talk to women. You can, I don't know. You can just do so many things at the party. Why are you isolating yourself? And to be honest with you guys, that was the last time I've ever done that at a party. I was like, what is the point? And I remember telling my friends that after as well. Guys, you haven't realized this because we've always been doing it in a small group, or, you know, every now and then with either by yourself or over a call, whatever. It wasn't anything serious. But when you actually do it in public, it just kills it. It kills your whole vibe. And maybe you guys sitting there at home who have a lot more experience with this than I do are like, no, bro, you're just too sensitive to it, or you can still have fun on it. But the reality is, anytime after this point that I've seen people get high at parties, they've never been that participating. Maybe for the first half hour to an hour, all of them sooner or later just kind of drift away into their own corner on the couch, or end up just tripping or falling asleep. This happens to all of them. Nobody talks to those people, and those people don't talk to anyone else. And I just felt like such a loser at the time. I was like, what am I doing here? Why am I... It's just, what is it? It was just so embarrassing. And that left that kind of mental scar in me. I guess it's not really a scar. It's more like a really, really ingrained lesson. And I understood, you know what? I would say alcohol is a lot more of the party drug than weed ever was. But once again, I mentioned in the start of this video, this isn't typically the type of video I make, because this isn't what the channel is about. This isn't what I am portraying. I'm not somebody who does this very often. There is absolutely, understand me correctly, there is no problem having fun. You like to have a drink I have a drink every now and then. I will have a party with my friends every now and then, but it's in a completely different frame. For example, the only time you'll ever catch me actually drinking is with my closest group of friends that I haven't seen probably for a year. My day one friends. And we catch up, we talk, whatever. Once in a blue moon event, once in a year event, right? Every now and then, fine. Maybe at my brother's wedding, great. But the whole party theme, I have more stories about this, way more stories, and I basically got it out of my system very, very early on. Like, very early on. I did it, had fun, understood it, realized this isn't the way, got it out of my system, and I'm like, good thing I understood this now, because there are still people, 26, like me, my age, who are still trying to go and join some group to go party with. In fact, when I was in the frat, just as a side note, there were actually guys that have graduated, and they're no longer a part of the frat because you have to leave once you graduate, but you're kind of something like a legacy, they call it, like a alumni, something like that. They would keep coming back, even after getting a job, becoming adults, and they would keep coming back to try to party, but they'd kind of be like those weird old men who are like 5 years older than everyone, and you're like, why are you still here? You're partying with a bunch of kids at this point. So I just think it's kind of weird, people who haven't grown out of it. Now, there's nothing wrong with grabbing a drink, having some fun with your own close group of friends, with your family. It's a different story. It's a lot more meaningful. Maybe it helps you build relationships, whatever. But that is not the go-to. That is not even the point of this channel. I don't condone any of this weed stuff. I haven't done that shit in ages, and don't really plan to. And if you're someone that's struggling with this yourself, you're finding that some of the things I talked about in the story, you end up living like this or doing this, and you don't really want to do that anymore. You want to move away from it, and you just don't know how. And you want to build more of a real life, more in depth, rather than just chasing that empty noise. Then I talk about a lot of this in my community. So feel free to check out the link in the description. Other than that, thanks for watching.